figure out the identity solution for the world. And it's important that it's done right. Like, this is one of those areas where, like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, you know, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom. Important, I think, for everybody. The future is going to happen to you, or it's going to happen with you. Your participation is needed.
Achieved tremendous success in digital assets as a crypto pioneer in the early days, funding several companies, including Mastercoin and Coinbase, just to name a few. In fact, Forbes named you as one of the richest people in crypto a few years ago, with an estimated net worth of 700 million to $1 billion. So, given your background, I'm curious to get your take on recent developments in crypto, specifically the burst of institutional interest. In fact, BlackRock filed for a spot Bitcoin ETF, opening the doors for other financial institutions like Valkyrie, Invesco, and WisdomTree. And EDX Markets, a crypto exchange backed by Fidelity, Citadel, and Charles Schwab, recently launched trading in four crypto assets, including Bitcoin and Ether. Over the weekend, I actually saw a headline which argued that Wall Street is crypto's new savior. Do you agree with that statement?
I think it's interesting that we're really seeing this adoption from, call it, your major institutional players. We've been watching this through cycle after cycle, but now, I mean, it's at the top of the heap. BlackRock launching this ETF. It's something that the industry has been trying to do for nearly a decade. Hopefully, they get the white glove treatment. Hopefully, BlackRock can get done what we could not. And so it's clearly had a major impact on the market. Bitcoin was under 25,000, and now it's up around 31. So I think the market's happy. Everyone's happy. I think this is a great thing. You've had Terra Luna's implosion, SBF and FTX and BlockFi and Celsius. I mean, it's been a really rough market. So grateful for a wave of good news. Well, I hope we're out of the crypto winter. um, is this a dead cat bounce, or is this the beginning of the next bull run? I mean, time will tell. I mean, there's a lot of things going on that I think I'm positive. I actually was buying more Bitcoin last week. My timing was exceptional. Actually, last 2 weeks ago. I'm like, with my team, I'm like, are we neutral? Are we bearish or bullish? I'm just like, there's so many things going on right now that could have a positive impact on Bitcoin and Bitcoin pricing. And very glad I was buying into the market literally days before the big announcement. So the institutional buying is there. A lot of financial uncertainty. A lot of people looking for hedges. The rising interest rates are probably a negative for Bitcoin, right? Because you've got high yields. You can just stick your money into you're collecting 5.5% interest on cash. So we'll see. I'm bullish. I'm buying more. But that's the $1 million question, right?
Exactly.
Is this are we back into a bull run? And if it is, it usually Bitcoin hits all time highs. This bull run, is it the one that we break into the six figure prices? I have no idea, but I'm rooting for it, and I'm directionally bet long. Call it tokenization or digitization, right? The world is going digital. The concept of tokenization is really, are we going to be using a ledger like a blockchain to do that? And I think that's where we talk about it. And so, yeah, I think everything is moving in that direction. I mean, money, securities, our stocks, our bonds, our art. I mean, this is the sort of concept of NFTs, right? Is that eventually all title, all assets are going to be, tokenized or digitized on some sort of ledger, so that you have certificates of authenticity and you can track title and chain of custody. And I think that is directionally where we're going. Um, but this is something that we'll see it happen over the years and even the decades ahead. And it'll start in with particular asset classes. Digital art obviously is an area where we've seen that kind of go through its first wave and had a huge impact. I mean, if you were a digital artist, right, there's very little money that you would make in making your art. You would have to be a graphic designer working at an animation studio or a video game company. And now, due to this tokenization, right, the ability to have scarcity around digital art, these digital creators, these artists have now found a way to make a living doing what they do best. And I think that's a wonderful thing for the world, right? And COVID definitely accelerated this in terms of our ability to work from anywhere. And there's a regulatory arbitrage, happening here. Governments that say we are in favor of innovation, we want innovation, to happen in our country. You see people move there, whether it be a bunch of us that have moved to Puerto Rico. That wasn't from regulatory arbitrage, but take El Salvador. President Bukele has made that a place where people are going, and where government says we are in favor of the future, we like innovation, we want to create regulatory clarity, and we are here to work with the private sector. It leads to positive results.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And guys, we have Brock Pierce, the Mighty Ducks. And what does he say? This technology can enslave humanity or give them freedom. And we know when it comes to technology, it can be used for good or evil. And we know this technology is in evil hands. And that's why I tell you all the time, you don't want to be on the wrong side of history, because this technology is coming in whether you like it or not. And guys, we know a strong dollar and high yields are bad for any market. Doesn't matter whether it's cryptos or the stock market. But we have so much manipulation from the Fed and the Treasury that is keeping the markets up for the fourth industrial revolution. And everything will be tokenized and put on blockchain. And guys, we know the C word was used to accelerate all this technology, to cause all this inflation so they could raise rates to fight the inflation that they caused, which we know we're going to continue on getting a banking crisis. And Brock Pierce says he's working with the United Nations. And we know he's working those emerging markets because that's where they want the fourth industrial revolution to rise. Remember, guys, they don't want the people to understand the new technology of the new system the same way people don't understand the Fed. And we know by time 2028 get here, guys, elections will be on blockchain. We know the only reason why Brock Pierce ran for president was to stay out of trouble. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Just got my, I'll run over to the office now. I just took my United Nations permanent mission, part of OIJ, which is Spain, Portugal, Dominican Republic, and every country in Central and South America. So I spend a lot of time talking to world leaders, to help them find innovative tools to solve their greatest problems, whether it be places like El Salvador and their Bitcoin law, and helping the government there implement that. But then I'm also working with lots of other governments. I spend a lot of time in Congress. I'm very active in government these days. But then as an entrepreneur, continuing to start new businesses. We've got some really exciting, stuff. Self. So I was one of the founders of Tether. We created the U.S. digital dollar. And so with Craig Sellers, who was CTO at Mastercoin with me, and then Phil Potter, who was the chief strategic officer of Bitfinex and Tether, we have a digital identity play, self-sovereign identity, trying to figure out the identity solution for the world. And it's important that it's done right. Like this is one of those areas where, like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom. And so we're doing that recently. Love.com. We're doing some really neat things around commerce. I've gotten into the hospitality business. I do a lot of hotels. I'm in airports, marinas, space.
Is there a crypto connection there?
Well, there's always technology in everything. So if you're in the hospitality business, I'm always trying to use technology in everything I do. I'm in a little bit of everything. So I'm working on some new layer ones. Libre. Speaking of freedom, that's a new wallet that we launched that allows you to send 25 cents, $1 from here to someone in Africa, essentially with no fees and instantaneously. And that was designed actually coming out of El Salvador. I mean, I think I've got like 500 projects. So
clearly you've been busy, but you did mention that you
use cases, either get the traction or they won't. There's a lot of promise in this technology that we've not seen fulfilled, right? The idea of low cost transactions for money remittance, for example, but we're starting to see some of that traction in places like Africa. We're starting to see some of that traction in places like Central and South America, but it's still not what I'd say, in that mass adoption phase. A lot of it is still speculation on price. But we're continuing to see the quality of the products, at the interfaces. We're getting there, but that's the big question. If they just keep building and driving real world use cases, that makes people's lives better in a material way, and adoption then follows that. And so, and again, most of the time you're not gonna understand what it is. It's kind of like your cell phone. You don't need to know what's inside of the cell phone to use it, right? You just need products and services that are better, faster, cheaper. You don't necessarily need to know that it's, running on a blockchain, sort of ledger. You just need really good, useful things. I mean, well, we'll see. Right now, you've got a Republican House and Democratic Senate and elections coming up, and I think that we would have been looking at some significant and likely problematic legislation. And the saving grace of all of this, and obviously not good for us or our nation, was the demise of Silicon Valley Bank and the crashing of the banks. I think that really just kind of changed the priority where cryptocurrency was like. I just hope the right decisions are made for our future. I firmly believe that America needs to continue to be a leader in innovation in all its forms, whether it's artificial intelligence, whether it's quantum computing, whether it's cryptocurrency and blockchain technologies. It's important that America is the capital of these industries.
Back in 2020 as an independent. So I'm curious to know what prompted you to run back then, and if you have any plans to run again in 2024.
Well, when we talk about a blockchain, right, and we talk about cryptocurrency, it's a ledger, but it's also a system of governance, right? What is our primary system of governance? That thing that governs over us, it's our government. And so as someone that experiments with systems of governance and studies governance, it would make sense that I would eventually go spend time in our government. I announced on July 4th of election year in 2020, which means there's no way to win. It was a reconnaissance mission. I wanted to understand all the ways in which the system or game is rigged. If you're running as a Democrat for a Republican, you have all that existing infrastructure and rails. You really just need to be a candidate. But if you actually want to try and run as a third party, you don't have that infrastructure. And so there's a tremendous amount of learning that has to occur. And so that was a trial run so that I could, either as me or someone else, do it successfully in the future.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
I actually believe This technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
Cryptoteacher and the new World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Xrp, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing they were still getting that free money, what are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID 33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.